afternoon and welcome to our live coverage of the 45th Gulf Summit, coming to you from the heart of the event here in the state of Kuwait. This critical summit convenes at a time of rapidly evolving regional and international challenges, bringing together leaders to address the most pressing issues of our time. A pivotal meeting addressing critical concerns for the region as well as for the world. During our program, we'll seek to address how this summit will enhance Gulf unity during these delicate times and what practical steps will be taken to address these intertwined global crises. We'll also discuss what roles the GCC plays in achieving Vision 2030 and supporting sustainable development. Joining us this afternoon are our esteemed guests, bringing us a wealth of insights and expertise to our discussion. Together, we will explore the future of Gulf integration, the key economic challenges facing the region, and the role of the summit in fostering greater cooperation. Stay tuned as we bring you in-depth perspectives on this landmark event and its implications for both the Gulf and broader international community.
The 45th Gulf Summit, a received moment as all eyes turn to the state of Kuwait, where Gulf leaders meet to shape the future of the region. In this special coverage, Dr. Malik Lirshad, Professor of Social Work at Kuwait University, Msharir Abdel Jalil, Chairman of Kuwait Economic Society, Dr. Fatma Moussawi, International Security Expert, Insights, Analysis, and Perspectives from the heart of the summit. Stay with us.
Welcome back, dear viewers. We now begin our discussion with our studio guest, Dr. Malik Lirshad, Professor of Clinical Social Work at Kuwait University, who's joining us to explore how the summit contributes to enhancing social integration among GCC countries. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Malik.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here.
Let's
jump right into our discussion. How do you see the impact of the 45th Gulf Summit enhancing cooperation between GCC countries, and what are the summit's priorities in strengthening strategic partnerships?
First, again, thank you for having me, and let me welcome all the GCC leaders on behalf of myself and the Kuwaiti people. And we welcome them. They left their homelands to be accepted and embraced by our family here. So welcome. Well, the overall impact of the summit on cooperation among the GCC countries would depend on the commitments made, the cooperative frameworks established, and the political will to follow through all these agreed upon initiatives. The summit often emphasizes to maintain political stability within the region and addressing common geopolitical challenges. Discussions may include countering regional threats, for sure, ensuring security and fostering unity among members, strengthening economic partnerships through trade agreements, investment opportunities, joint ventures. The summit may highlight efforts to enhance intra-GCC trade and diversifying the economies beyond oil. Given the GCC influence on the energy market, summits frequently discuss or address cooperation in the energy policies, including renewable energy, investments, sustainability, and technology sharing. Also, the security frameworks addressing climate change, for sure, that's a big issue as well. We joined the world in the climate change challenges, and due to our very special nature environmentally, the water scarcity, the high level temperatures, the deserts, the lands of deserts all surrounding us, all these are challenges that's very specifically tailored to the GCC countries that must be addressed, along with social cohesions and major projects that's already in place, like the electrical connection projects, the GCC railroad, and the cybersecurity initiatives.
I'm excited to hear about all those as they continue to develop as the leaders go through their summit. But there was something that you mentioned that was next on my list of questions: geopolitical challenges currently taking place. How would you, how could you see the GCC facing these particular challenges by enhancing internal and external cooperation?
Well, you mentioned it, that's the key parts. We should work on parallel with the internal cooperation along with the external. For the internal cooperation, for instance, establishing cohesive foreign policy approach among the GCC member states can help present a unified form of regional and international forums. It's enhancing their bargaining power in front or with all the powers around the world. That's one thing. Collaborating in economic diversification projects reduces the dependency on oil and gas revenues. Joint investments in technology, tourism. Now tourism, there are like new strong players in the tourism, especially Riyadh. Everybody's watching to see what's upcoming for tourism in Riyadh and in the UAE and in Oman. In Kuwait, for sure, they're catching up. So these are all like the joint initiatives would go a long way. Also developing cooperative frameworks for crisis responses. And we're talking about crisis naturally, natural disasters, public health, like the one in the pandemic. We're talking about the unrests or armed conflicts around us. All these really required to have a crisis response collectively to be efficient in addressing unexpected challenges ahead. Promoting cultural dialogue in academic, in partnerships, all can foster greater understanding and cohesion among citizens of the GCC countries and help to build the sense of common identity between the people of the GCC. Externally, though, we should strengthen our partnership with global powers and the regional influencers, just like the GCC countries with strategic alliances that enhance security and economic stability, engaging with major economies like the United States, China, the EU, for instance. And we have strong ties with all the major players, let's say, globally. Partnership in multilateral organizations such as the Arab League, the United Nations, and then the other to enhance the GCC influence on international issues and help advocate for collective interests through the active diplomacy. This is something that the GCC countries has a long history over, and actually that's what helped mitigate a lot of conflicts around us and help the stability of the region because of the active diplomacy, or what you call active diplomacy. Also forming and strengthening trade agreements. That's something all the GCC countries and leaders and people of the GCC countries are looking forward to.
Doctor, you kind of just mentioned this, but if we could elaborate a bit more on what would you say are some of the biggest challenges facing the Gulf states, and how would you assume they could overcome them?
Well, the challenges are a lot, and everybody heard like a few hours ago, His Highness the Emir, in his opening statement, he mentioned specifically that this summit comes in a very delicate time, globally, regionally, and locally, and he asked to speed up the efforts of the GCC leaders and countries to try to actually go ahead of the challenges and expect what comes next. So some of these challenges, to mention few, is the heavy reliance on oil and gas. Everybody's talking about the heavy reliance on them. Why this is dangerous is not only because one resource is always a bad idea, but because of the fluctuation globally for the gas and oil market is really huge. Anything that happens anywhere in the world can affect right away the gas prices and the oil prices, and we cannot rely on such resource without diversification. This is a huge challenge that we should all face by investing in sectors like technology, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, clean energy, the manufacturing, encouraging private sectors to grow through supportive policies and initiatives. Another challenge is the regional conflicts. Of course, we live or we are settled in a not a very neighboring, like a very friendly neighborhood, if I may say. So diplomacy and the conflicts that's going around us needs to enhance the diplomatic engagement and conflict resolution efforts, potentially through multilateral dialogues, establishing common security frameworks, and promoting cooperation in security and intelligence can help mitigate this kind of risks. Another challenge is the high youth unemployment in some of the GCC states, along with the what I call mismatch of skills with the market labor. I mean, what are we doing actually for the next generation to get them prepared for what's coming next? Everybody's talking about the high technology and everything is going to be smart. Are we smart enough to actually prepare our youth for this kind of coming age? We should be planning ahead and invest in the children and the people of the GCC countries, and I think that the GCC leaders really acknowledge this fact. Another thing I just mentioned is the climate change, and let's be transparent here to say that we're not doing enough, if any, regarding the climate change, regarding the sense of responsibility. The people of the GCC, and I'm one of them, we're not taking this issue very seriously. We don't have recycling policies that really we follow through. People are taking everything for granted, even though our water is really scarce. The plants, the green spaces, all these things are not easy to have, and everybody's just using it without any responsible sense. This should be really implemented with the people. You have to start with the people. You can have policies and you can have strategies, but without convincing and actually reaching out and start the movement from the ground up, you cannot do or be part of the solution. You're going to be the problem itself.
Absolutely. It needs to be a joint effort, not only between the leaders, but the people.
Exactly.
And thankfully, we can do it as a whole region as well.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much for your insights, Doctor. I'm looking forward to continuing our discussion, but we're going to go now to our correspondent in the Media Center. Abdurrahman Al-Muhanna is there to give us the latest updates on what's happening at the official media center for the coverage of the 45th Gulf Summit. Abdurrahman, thank you for being with us. The Gulf media has always been a bridge of communication between leaders and its people, and the 45th Summit is undoubtedly a significant milestone in this regard. With a key focus on economic topics such as reducing dependence on oil and promoting sustainable development, how would you say access to the Gulf media's engagement with this summit, especially in highlighting these issues, is going where you are right now?
Good afternoon to you, Badria, and to your exclusive guest, and to the day viewers of KTV2, and coming to you live from the Media Center and organized by the Ministry of Information. And as you can see, it's been an execution of efforts that is of high quality done by the Ministry of Information alongside the Ministry of Interior and National Guards. And as we know of today, before I go on to your question, which is actually a very good question to start with, we know that the summit, GCC summit, has already begun and reaching the final press conference done by the GCC Secretary General Jassim Lebdawi and Kuwaiti Minister of Foreign Affairs Abdullah Ali Haya, which they would give their final remarks later on in the final press conference. Now, moving to your questions, of course, the Gulf media has played a huge role, as we know, not even during the Gulf Summit, which took place today, still taking place, but also pre the summit. We've seen media outlets, Gulf media outlets from all over the GCC member states having guests to their studios, as you are having one right now, Badriya, and discussing issues or matters like economic diversification and also energy initiatives, and of course significant projects such as the Gulf Railway, which was touched upon in the 162nd ministerial meeting. So the Gulf media did play a big role in these coverages, and actually a lot of the Gulf media outlets are present even in the media center right here. I've seen different outlets, including the Al Arabiya outlet, and they're actually next to me. Some of them are doing coverages for the GCC, and some of them are going live. So there is some sort of collaboration between the Ministry of Information alongside with the Gulf media outlets. So they've featured interview with experts and policymakers to even bring a wider and better picture of the GCC summit.
Some substantial effort by the media to highlight the summit's key topics. Speaking in this regard, can you elaborate a bit about how the Media Center has witnessed extensive coverage and the journalists' performance so far as they utilize that location to tell their audiences what's happening these next 2 days?
Well, yes, actually, moving to the media center that I'm currently in right here in this hotel, it has an advanced setup at the media center which played a huge role in improving the quality of coverages with high-speed internet as well, with the latest technology used and facilitated by the hotel that I'm in, and journalists are able to even report as quickly as possible and give the latest update of the GCC summit. Even way before that, we were able, thanks to the efforts put by the Ministry of Information and the latest technology that all the officials have put efforts to bring in this hotel at the media center. Even pre-summit briefing sessions that we had, such as the 162nd ministerial meeting, it's also helped giving reporters a clear understanding of the key topics such as renewable energies and economic diversification, and journalists were able to actually cover such topics at the same moment that the meeting has been taking place, because all the tools and kits of the media and for the journalists have been organized and already ready organized by the Ministry of Information and as well as the hotel here at the media center.
As the summit progresses, Abdurrahman, it seems economic issues are taking center stage. From your observation, as someone who's deeply engaged in this topic, could you please give us an understanding of what's drawn the attention of the journalists and participants so far in regards to these key topics that are center stage with the leaders right now?
Of course, now there are a lot of things that have drawn the journalists' attention. Two top of the agenda, knowing we now know because we have more information, because we've seen the opening of the GCC summit and more information even throughout the GCC summit as well. But also from the 162nd ministerial meeting, we know that top of the agenda, the political files such as Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, and other files such as Sudan are top of the agenda, and the GCC will continue backing such files to even accelerate efforts, whether be it in forms of international financial backings or even throughout international institutions such as the, let's say, United Nations resolutions, or in any form of other help. So there will be at the forefront of any form of help for these countries. So moving to economically, which is also at the forefront of the agenda, and as you, Badriya, met and also interviewed the GCC Secretary General Jassim Lebdewi, in your interview with Jassim Lebdewi, His Excellency has expressed the importance of the GCC economic integration concept for the let's say GCC summit, and how important it is to even reach a more diverse economy and a shared market between the Gulf. So what they're trying to do is to move from a more relying on oil economy, and then to, let's say, decreasing the reliance on oil and actually diversifying the economy, maybe in other industries such as renewable energy, maybe in tourism and other factors. So having a shared market as well would even help boost the economy of the Gulf, such as the Gulf Railway project would even connect most of the Gulf or all of the Gulf countries. That's right, they would spend on that more than than $200 billion, but in return they increase freight transportation, they decrease logistical costs, and they would actually enhance tourism within the GCC. And we move from these topics to other topics such as the custom unions law, which has been enhanced, has been trying to be since 2003 and still being under process, and hopefully will be implemented in the coming years. So if we remove the tariffs between the GCC, intra-GCC, and have tariffs from external goods, we would even boost the economy for the GCC economy as one entity and actually benefit from the tariffs put on exports, let's say, coming from outside.
Thank you for your comprehensive coverage and excellent analysis. You mentioned multiple things that our in-studio guests also mentioned, and like you said, His Excellency. So looking forward to hearing more of your insight on that as you continue to bring us coverage from the Media Center. Our correspondent, Abdurrahman Muhanna, who is currently stationed in the Media Center. Thanks again for your help.
The 45th Summit of the Supreme Council of Their Majesties and Highnesses, leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council states. Key political, economic, and security topics listed on the summit's agenda, and a unified Gulf people awaiting its outcome.
Hoping to give us a report soon. Welcome back to our special coverage of the 45th GCC Summit. If you're just tuning in, joining us now in the studio is Professor of Clinical Social Work at Kuwait University, Dr. Malik Al-Rasheed. Let's jump right back into our discussion, Doctor. How can social sustainability be integrated with green transformation in the Gulf to promote inclusive growth as well as community well-being?
Well, community engagement and involving the local communities in the planning and implementation of such policies of green initiatives is a must. This can include public consultations, collaborative projects that empower residents to be or to take participation actively in the sustainability efforts. And we should also, as we mentioned before, raise the awareness of the public and encourage them to be part of this effort. Also promoting education on sustainable issues. The whole educational system must have new, let's say, renewed perspectives of what's coming. The priorities are changing at all times. Change is the nature of life. So you cannot have the same curriculum and expect different results. So we have to come up with new initiatives educationally, and everybody's talking about the university level programs. This is too late for me. Mm-hmm. If you want to build attitude and you build something within, you have to start really early. I mean, we see the efforts of all different nations. From the young age, they teach them the value of water, the value of money, the value of the respecting the environment. Mm-hmm. We need to see this in our educational system. Also, transitioning to green economy can really create a new job opportunity, particularly in renewable energies, sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, focusing on training and skill development for local communities around the GCC countries, so that the workforce be prepared for these new roles. Designing cities that prioritize sustainability. It's really easy to build high-rising buildings with concrete, but it's really more important to have more or create more green spaces, improving the public transportation, ensuring access to clean water and air. All these sustainable urban planning can contribute to healthier and more vibrant communities. So encouraging local businesses to adopt sustainable policies. Also, how can we encourage them? Maybe we can have some incentives, some grants, technical assistance for small and medium businesses to actually put their steps into the more green and sustainable economy and businesses.
Absolutely, and like we had mentioned earlier, it's a collective effort, and
exactly
getting kids from a young age to participate, I think, helps in the sustainability of moving towards a more sustainable lifestyle.
Definitely.
Do you foresee the 45th Summit setting an opportunity for Gulf leaders to establish a unified environmental policy addressing climate change and fostering green evolution?
Well, yes, I do actually, for many reasons. First is that the summit provides the platform for the Gulf countries to come together and discuss shared environmental challenges. As we mentioned earlier, we have so much similarities, not only on the people level or the cultural level, it's also at the environmental level. So collaborative efforts can lead to more cohesive regional strategy that address climate change and other risks environmentally. Also, by pooling together the resources and expertise, Gulf states can develop innovative solution tailored specifically to the region's unique environmental context. This could really advance the renewable energy, the water management, and sustainable agriculture. Also, the summit can reaffirm the Gulf states' already commitment to international climate agreements, just like the Paris agreements. A unified stance can enhance their influence on global climate discussions and attract international investments in the green technologies. Leaders of the GCC countries can outline initiatives to promote research and development in green technologies, including solar and wind energy, carbon capture, and sustainable urban planning. Furthermore, the developing policies to enhance climate resistance resistance is really crucial for the Gulf states. At the same time, establishing unified environmental policy can support broader economic diversification as well. This aligns with actually in many Gulf countries' long-term strategic goals. For example, recently Kuwait pledged to reach carbon neutrality by 2060. Also, to producing 50% renewable electricity by 2050. And I believe all the GCC states has different pledges and plans ahead.
Those years aren't that far away. It's not as far as we think.
Not at this speed of time.
Exactly. Thank you, Doctor, for your insights. Looking forward to continuing our discussion. We're going to move forward now to a phone call. We have on the line to help us delve deeper into the economic dimensions of the summit. We're joined now on the line with Mr. Mshari Al Abdul Jalil, President of the Kuwait Economic Society. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Abdul Jalil. Can you give us an idea of the primary economic challenges currently facing GCC countries, and how do you see this current summit addressing these issues, especially in terms of enhancing regional economic integration?
First of all, good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me the time to talk about the primary economic challenges facing the GCC countries. I would emphasize the following key economic challenges and propose initiatives for strengthening economic cooperation between the GCC countries. First challenge is the economic diversification. While the progress has been made, the region remains heavily reliant on oil exports, leaving member states vulnerable to prices changes. Developing non-oil sectors is essential for sustainable growth for our region. The second point is creating jobs for the private sector. with such a young generation and rapidly growing population, creating jobs in the private sector is critical. The public sector cannot absorb the increasing workforce demand in the region. My third point is climate change and sustainability. The GCC faces environmental challenges, including water scarcity and the need for renewable energy adoption to meet global sustainability goals. My fourth point will be global economic shifts. The geopolitical landscape and the global trade dynamics require the GCC countries to strengthen its position in international trade and reduce dependency on external economics. My fifth and last point is intra-regional trade barriers. Despite shared goals, non-tariff barriers, and policy, seamless economic integration and cross-border investments within the GCC countries is crucial in the coming years.
As Kuwait hosts the 45th GCC Summit, what initiatives can Kuwait's Economic Society propose to strengthen economic cooperation among member states?
Okay, first of all, establishing a unified economic vision. Building on existing frameworks like Saudi Arabia Vision 2030, Kuwait Vision 2035, the GCC could adopt a unified long-term economic strategy, emphasizing diversification initiatives and digital transformation in the near future. My second point will be accelerating the GCC customs union and common market. A renewed focus on finalizing and fully operationalizing the GCC customs union and common market can enhance trade flows, attract foreign investments, and foster regional business growth. My third point will be Youth Employment and Skill Development Fund, creating a GCC-wide fund to support training and entrepreneurship can empower young people, promote private sector growth, and addresses unemployment in the near future. My fourth point is investment in renewable energy and green technology. A collaboration approach to develop renewable energy projects such as solar and hydrogen initiatives can reduce dependence on fossil fuels and position the GCC as a global leader in clear energy.
President.
Sorry?
Continue, please.
Yeah. My fifth point is incentivizing cross-border ventures, offering taxes, incentives, and easing regulation for companies operating in multiple GCC countries can stimulate private sector collaboration and enhance regional economic integration. My last point will be digital and financial integration, establishing a unified digital payment system and advancing fintech collaboration across the GCC countries can streamline this transaction and boost e-commerce between the countries.
President of Kuwait Economic Society, Mr. Mshari Abdul Jalil, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your valuable insights with us. Dear viewers, stay tuned as we continue our special coverage right after this break. Stay with us.
The 45th Summit of the Supreme Council of Their Majesties and Highnesses, leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council states. Key political, economic, and security topics listed on the summit's agenda, and a unified Gulf people awaiting its outcome.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the 45th GCC Summit, currently taking place right here in the state of Kuwait. I'm joined in our studio with our special guest, Dr. Malik, as we discuss the social and economic dimensions of the challenges of the summit's agenda. Dr. Malik, how can civil society in the Gulf contribute to improving social and economic cooperation among GCC countries?
Civil society reflects the people. It reflects the involvement and interests in different issues that matter to the GCC. None of the policies, as we mentioned before, can take place or may have an impact unless it's shared and convinced by the people. So GCC countries have a history of very active civil movements and engagement. That kind of movement that's helped reshape many of the political, economic and societal policies, and they can still be the force behind so much more, especially when they join the collective cooperation between the GCC countries and to generate greater impact on the societal development. For example, efforts of the NGOs in issues related to women and youth, economic empowerment by providing skills training, raising public awareness of the major role women and youth can actually play in the country's economic and social development is undeniable. Issues related to family stability, the rights of the marginalized groups, the gender gaps in economy, leadership, authority, and representation of women in the office. All these issues has been handled and discussed within the NGOs, and actually they managed to join force and change the law and come up with new policies for the better good or the greater good of societies. All issues that civil society movements succeeded in making an impact on. So helping the GCC to include all their citizens in sustainable development efforts can have a greater impact if they come together in joint forces. NGOs could be and must be the valuable partner in all government efforts at all levels, that's for sure. I believe in the NGOs' impact over policies at all levels, especially the economic and social ones.
Absolutely, because that kind of signals to our governments and our leaders what it is that we put our time and our effort
exactly,
to, and what we would like to see collectively.
It tells you the reality of things. You can read about policies and laws, but the actual reflection of reality are the NGOs with transparency and cooperation. Of course, we can reach for common goals and common ground.
Yeah, it makes it a bit more as the youth say, relatable.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
This seems like a good place to shift slightly because it kind of mirrors what you were talking about. How do you see Gulf countries maintaining their cultural identity amidst global openness and social changes?
Well, we are the GCC countries blessed of what I called, and this is my word, so markets. I think we're blessed with what I called the identity resiliency. Despite of being open to all cultures for generations now, by inclusion of foreign workers amongst us, or international trading, or even just the love of traveling, we've been really exposed to all kinds of cultures and all kinds of identities, and we managed to stay true to ourselves. We managed to be true to our values and Islamic teachings and our cultural identity. Plus the social extended family that's really still standing to this day, and hopefully for generations to come, help us maintain the identity throughout the generations, because you have like the first the family has the grandmothers and the parents and the children's 3, 4, 5 generations sometimes at the same house, and that must really strengthen the identity of the people. Also, we do have open minds toward different cultures, and we embrace diverse identity, but we still know and value who we are, and that's really big. And you can't say that about all cultures. The acceptance is part of our GCC personality in all 6 states. We accept people. We are social by nature, and yet we have to focus on passing these values to our children. Having a clear sense of identity can be the protective shields against like the identity confusion or identity doubt.
Absolutely. I look forward to continuing our discussion and covering even more topics that are of importance to us and to our leaders as they continue their very important summit. But we were going to take a quick shift right now, and we're going to joining us on Skype is Dr. Fatma Msawi, Senior Researcher for International Security and lecturer at Sciences Po in Paris, to give us the key discussions, or rather to discuss the key regional and international issues being addressed at the 45th Gulf Summit. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Fatma.
Thank you for having me.
What strategic opportunities can GCC capitalize on to address geopolitical challenges in the Arabian Gulf and Red Sea regions?
We all agree that the current context of the region is full of challenges, but this context brings also opportunities. Where there is risk, there is an opportunity. The GCC summit is an opportunity to express the determination of the Gulf state to continue to work together and achieve common goals. The opportunity is to rethink the GCC as a single body, where each state member has a very precise function in line with its leadership and sovereignty. It's important to change the mindset and think of GCC as a regional state organization that have different countries operating with capabilities competing each other. Each Gulf state holds unique strengths, but collaboration amplifies them, positioning them as leaders in achieving shared goals, what are known in international relations as maintaining strategic alliances. I believe that this unstable environment has the benefit to push the Gulf state to unify more.
And how can the outcomes of the GCC summit contribute to enhancing regional security and stability, particularly in light of increasing threats?
Today, we are in transitional world where the organization of global and regional powers is seeking strategic balance. So the GCC should be part of this transitional world by continuing being involved as economic power, but also evolving as a diplomatic and future military power. To achieve the political and security objectives, it is important to forge closer ties, not only with the United States, but also with the European Union. The real question lies in the strategies to be employed for every cooperation. The genius of any strategic thought is knowing what foreign and security policies put in place, when, with who, and how to manage them all together. A geostrategic policy is like a musical orchestra, and the maestro, means the conductor, will lead the orchestra to create harmonious music. So we should point out that the EU-GCC summit of the last 16th of October in Brussels marked a historical step by being aligned on the same issues of the day and a common understanding to overcome current challenges, promote peace, security, prosperity for both regions through economy, investment, trade, free transition, and regional security. So I should add as well that another summit in the same perspective will take place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2026.
Indeed, and we will also be covering a lot of those points that you just brought up. And throughout this special coverage, as we've recorded special interviews on these topics that you mentioned, particularly in the context of international file and the Gulf Cooperation Council's relationship with the European Union. This brings me to my next question for you, Dr. Fatma. In your view, how can geopolitical strategies discussed in this current summit align with international frameworks to foster greater cooperation in the Middle East?
I think the GCC needs to rethink a new comprehensive geostrategic approach according to the ongoing situation in the Gulf. You know, the Gulf states needs to work with different Western partners, and as well regional partners, even they don't agree with them. The GCC should find ways to deal with the ongoing crisis in the Middle East, Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria, and so on. The Gulf countries are part of this region and are obliged to react. If not, it leaves a political vacuum to others express their influence. It's important to launch a new geostrategic vision at diplomatic and military levels to participate in this coming new balance of power in the region.
Senior researcher in international security and lecturer at Sciences Po in Paris, that's Dr. Fatima Msaoudi. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your insights with us. We're going to take a short break before we continue our live coverage of the 45th GCC Summit. Be sure to stay tuned with us.
From the heart of the 45th Gulf Summit, international files and regional issues take center stage. In-depth analysis with prominent figures, Ambassador Abdulaziz Al-Sharikh, former Director General of Saud Nasser Al-Sabah Kuwaiti Diplomatic Institute, Her Excellency Anne Karstinen, Ambassador of the European Union to the State of Kuwait, Her Excellency Karen Sasahara, United States Ambassador to the State of Kuwait, a comprehensive vision of key international issues and the future of strategic relations. Stay tuned, live from the event.
Now, dear viewers, we're going to go to Bayan Palace for the final statement of today's discussions with the leaders. Stay tuned.
Would serve the interests of our countries, and I'm pleased to thank and appreciate to His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mash'al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, who was his wisdom's leadership in the meetings that participated in the success of this session and achieving its desired goals. And allow me to thank and appreciate His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, for his estimated and appreciated efforts during the Qatar presidency to the Supreme Council that participated in the promotion of joint GCC work and actions. In this context, I'm pleased to congratulate to His Excellency the Secretary General, Mr. Jassim Al-Badawi, for the pleasing of his for the pleasing by their Majesties and the Highness of his second mandate, due to his ceaseless efforts and works in the promotion of works of the GCC Council. We pray to Allah to success him in his efforts. This pleased summit has so many decisions. One of them, the promoting of economic integration through practical steps toward the common Gulf market and custom unions that promote the economic abilities of the GCC countries. Two, launching of a joint strategic program that promote the security of the food security in the GCC countries for the future of them. Promote the cooperation in the field of technology and innovation to support the digital transformation and to achieve the leadership in this field. The outcomes of the Kuwait summit emphasize and embodies the outcomes of this as its main pillar to achieve the stability and security in our region and related to the regional and international level and affairs. Here, in the final statement, we showed you the position of the GCC leaders who stressed the importance of the cooperation and coordination between them in order to achieve stability in the region. They stressed also the partnership with the regional and international friendship countries and the international organization for the sake of peace regionally and internationally. We today on the forefront of a new stage of the GCC joint action with a more comprehensive vision based on the innovation and the sustainable development. In this concern, I'm pleased to refer to the Kuwait Declaration, who will be recited by His Excellency Secretary General, which reflects the positions of GCC countries toward the affairs, including the digital economy and cyber security for the protection of our societies, and the follow-up of the initiatives and developmental projects included in this session that participate in achieving the desires of our people. We are fully sure that what has been achieved in this session is a pivotal step toward the goals and gains of the GCC and promoting its position regionally and internationally. In conclusion, I'd like to express my thanks to Secretary General and the body of General Secretariat for their preparation and follow-up of this summit, which is succeeding. And also I'd like to thank the media who transferred the censored image of the functions. We pray to Allah to save our countries and our people and help us to succeed in good and well-being for our people and our countries and our nations. Now the floor is to His Excellency, the Secretary General, Mr. Jassim Al-Badawi. Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Mr. Minister. And I'd like to thank you. I'd like firstly to welcome you, to welcome the team of media people.
وتقديم إيجاز لكم حول أبرز نتائج هذه القمة. أعتقد معالي الأخ عبد الله علي اليحيى كفى ووفى في تقديم
Excellency Abdullah Ali Al-Yahya
أود فقط
spoke enough in the developments in the summit. I'd like firstly to present and submit my congratulations, thanks to His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Mash'al Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, for his hosting the 45th session of the Supreme Council of GCC summit. And also would like to take this opportunity to submit thanks to His Highness the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, for his evaluated and estimated rule during the Qatari presidency of the summit, which witnessed a lot of gains and achievements. I'm here to read with you the Kuwait Declaration of the 45th session of the Kuwait Summit of the 1st of December 2024 in the state of Kuwait. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, based on the supreme goals of GCC Council since established in 1981, at the forefront, the promoting the fair issues of Arab countries and Islamic countries. They met in the 45th session. Their Majesties and their Highnesses met in Kuwait and discussed the critical challenges toward the region, especially the Israeli aggression against Gaza and Lebanon, and the violations of the occupation in Jerusalem and the Western Bank. And the Supreme Council demands to stop the massive killing and evacuation of people and the attack on the civilian infrastructure, including health and the schools, and in frank violation to the international law and the international humanitarian law, and also ask and demands to stop fire and to stop war and launch peace, and reaffirming its fixed position toward the Palestinian issue and supporting the Palestinian people on his own state, occupied since 1967, and the capital is the East Jerusalem. This is based on the Arab Peace Initiative 2022, and the Council. The Council welcomed the extraordinary Arab Islamic Summit held in Saudi Arabia, and their pleasing efforts for supporting the state of Palestine and leading the international efforts to solve the issue of Palestine, and also welcomed the efforts of Qatar to ceasefire in Gaza, and also the leaders of GCC condemned the continuing of Israeli aggression against Lebanon, and they warned against its expansion, which could lead to a catastrophic disasters in the region. It also welcomed the ceasefire. They also welcomed the ceasefire in Lebanon, and demanding that Israeli withdrawing from Lebanon and applying the UN Security Council 17.01, and they also remembering the efforts of the state of Kuwait, and also they called the brothers in Lebanon to prioritize the national interests and needing to agreement of the components of Lebanon based on the Arab culture, and stressing on its deep strategic relations with the GCC countries. And they also welcomed the effort to and the leaders stressed on and to prioritize the dialogue and the diplomacy to solve all problems in the region based on the UN Security Council resolution, based on and also respecting the international law and abstain and preventing the use of force. And they also commended the roles of the countries of the GCC in bringing peace and promoting the international dialogue and the communication among the peoples, and the fruitful participation and partnerships with the international community, and the follow-up what issued by the ministerial meetings in order to ensure the full implementation of those resolutions and to maximum the benefits of this based on a practical basis. The Majesties and their Majesties and the Highness guided to consolidate the position of the region as an international hub for business, and then to continuing diversification efforts and achieving the stability in the markets of energy and the successful dealing with the climate change. And they also guided to fastly implement what been agreed in the GCC that could could achieve the aspirations of its people. And they continued their keenness to empowerment of women in GCC in all fields. And they also the role of the youth and think tanks and the leaders of opinion to save the identity and the heritage and the Islamic values, and also good governance, stressing on the rule of the establishment of the GCC in achieving these goals, and within the context of seeking the development and moving to a sustainable economic forum. They stressed the importance of digital economy as a main pillar that supported the future of development in the region, and they stressed that the digital economy represents a historic opportunity to achieve the integration among the states of the council, and also they condemned the infrastructure, the online infrastructure and the internet infrastructure, because it is the main pillar that support the digital aspirations, and they stressed that their investment in fifth generation of the internet has promoted its preparedness to be a global hub for digital economy, which could promote the attracting investments and promoting innovation. The leaders stressed on the importance of strategic investment like AI and big data analysis and computing and cyber security. And they stressed that these technologies put the states of the GCC countries in the forefront of the international arena, and stressed also on the importance of renewable energy and health care and the financial services. They stressed on also the promoting of cooperation among the countries of the GCC countries. That to be unified, that to promote the integration of economic integration. They stressed also that the GCC countries, thanks to its diversified resources and advanced human and technological resources, participates essentially in the supporting of international economy, and also that this vision doesn't extends to promotion of the innovation and the global economic growth, which should consolidate the position of the region as the economic hub. And they also stressed that the importance of continuing digital infrastructure development was focused on the development of technical and humanitarian cadres, and they stressed that the vision of the GCC countries for the future of digital based on the economic and development and sustaining the social and economic sustainability. And they concluded that this joint efforts reflect the continuous efforts of the Council and the GCC Council countries that could lead to the prosperity of the region and all over the world. Issued in Kuwait City, Sunday, 29 Jumadi al-Ula, 1446. Corresponding to the 1st of December 2024. In conclusion, I'd like to reaffirm what I previously mentioned about the positive messages of from this pleasant summit, that by their majesties and the highnesses, it reflected their eagerness to promote the stability and prosperity in our region. We pray to Allah Almighty the success of this summit to achieve the desired goals, and thanks to you all. His Excellency, the Foreign Minister Abdullah Ali Al Yahya, and the Secretary General of the GCC Council, Jassim Mohammed Al Abdawi, and we declare the conclusion of the press conference, and we ask Allah to protect our Gulf.
The 45th Gulf Summit underscores the strategic importance of the GCC countries on the international stage. And over the decades, these nations have forged influential partnerships, contributing to both regional and global security and stability. From robust trade agreements and groundbreaking investments to innovative efforts in energy, technology, and climate action, the Gulf has consistently demonstrated its commitment to building bridges of cooperation with major global powers. This unique blend of economic strength and geopolitical advantage positions the GCC as a key player in fostering political and economic stability worldwide. As the summit unfolds, it serves as a platform to strengthen these partnerships further, aligning with sustainable development goals and paving the way for a brighter future for generations to come. To gain deeper insight on this, we prepared a series of exclusive interviews featuring prominent voices on these critical topics. Let's take a look.
Kuwait was among the active members of the GCC in pushing forward the idea of collective dialogue with other international groupings or international powers. So the GCC now has an ongoing and very productive dialogue with the United States, with the European Union, with India, with China, with Russia. So the GCC believes that the best way to maintain peace and security and foster cooperation is by having dialogue, and these multi-approaches to international business and economics has proven to be most effective. And lucky for us in the Gulf, not only we seek to have a dialogue with them, in every case we found corresponding desire by the other side. So the Americans, the Russians, the Chinese, as far as we can tell, are as eager to have the dialogue, and it's collective. 6 countries with the United States, 6 countries with this, of course, gives us, I wouldn't say bargaining position, because after all, it's business. And it is decided on business atmospheres and considerations. But nevertheless, it has provided the GCC a stronger stance in international economic life.
The first EU-GCC summit that took place on 16 October in Brussels marked a historical step in enhancing cooperation between the Gulf Cooperation Council and the European Union. Key outcomes included the fact that leaders from both sides addressed global challenges with a common language, elevating the EU-GCC strategic partnership to promote peace, security and prosperity for both our regions. The leaders agreed on a way forward to enhance our collaboration in a wide range of fields of mutual interest. This includes economic diversification, investments, green transition, and regional security and stability, among others. Leaders also agreed to hold a second EU-GCC summit, which will take place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2026. During the first EU-GCC summit, leaders from both sides committed to intensifying our energy cooperation, including in areas such as energy security, energy efficiency, and renewables. Both the European Union and GCC countries, including Kuwait, can join efforts to create more sustainable and diversified economies to benefit our citizens. We can both contribute to global climate action in line with the Paris Agreement and the goals set by GCC countries, including Kuwait. The European Union launched the European Union GCC Cooperation on Green Transition project in April 2024. This project aims to create a joint platform to exchange best practices and expertise between the EU and the GCC. It aims to promote policies and technologies that support the green transition in the GCC, including Kuwait. It also seeks to foster collaboration between EU green tech companies and their Gulf counterparts. We have worked very actively with all sectors of the Kuwaiti government and society on just green transition since the opening of the EU delegation in 2019, and there is much more to come.
I think that we are already working on so many different projects and in so many different fields to achieve that. We have a long relationship with the GCC. We meet on a regular basis, whether it's in the New York General Assembly in September, where the Secretary of State meets with the GCC foreign ministries to talk about the issues of the day within the region and on a bilateral basis, but also on security issues as well as things like initiatives in high tech, other things that we have been partnering with Kuwait on as they move forward. Within the larger GCC, as you can imagine, the Kuwaitis are constantly in touch with their counterparts regarding regional security, as well as our U.S. military in constant touch with our U.S. counterparts and all of the other GCC countries. So there's a lot of bilateral and then diplomatic coordination in the civilian and the military in order to just keep up with what's going on. Things move very quickly in the region, as we all know.
A quick thank you to the ambassadors for their valuable contribution and time. We deeply appreciate their perspectives and efforts in enhancing international partnerships for the Gulf Cooperation Council. Now returning to our guest in the studio, Dr. Malik. Before we let you go, I have a couple more questions I want to ask you before we wrap up. Perfect. How can cooperation between Gulf countries and Europe address social issues such as migration and education, in your opinion?
Well, cooperation between the Gulf countries and the EU, especially related to education and migration, I think the cooperation can take place by having joint agreements regarding the creation of legal pathways for migrants, enhancing labor mobility across the two entities, countries or states, and ensuring protection of the migrants' workers' rights. Also, the education and vocational training for the workers on both sides. So, providing the migrants with valuable qualifications, and at the same time assessing the needs of the workplace, the work scene in the GCC countries might help as well. Something else is the extension of partnership with European educational institutions, either by scholarships, funding for collaborative projects, and think tanks. The joint public awareness campaigns as well, focusing on aligning the efforts between the EU and GCC to fall into the SDGs or the UN Sustainable Development Goals, because that can give us the complete framework for the cooperation between the two. Another important part of the collaboration to include the assessment of the actual misplacement or the transfer of the labor migrants and labor forces in between the entities. programs to promote their settlements or resettlements, programs to enhance the acceptance and try to work through the taboo or the unaccepting of the migrants. We should have a shared appreciation of diversity between the entities.
Absolutely, that very much reflects what we mentioned earlier, all about diversity and community building. In a similar vein, how can academic institutions like Kuwait University play a bigger role in influencing Gulf politics, and how can academic cooperation between GCC countries help?
Well, Kuwait University and other higher education institutions at the GCC can play a major role in recommending data-driven, scientifically proving strategies and policies for various fields and for the stakeholders and policymakers. We should bridge the gap between the academic experts and the policy makers. Advocate for greater cooperation between the two, because countries who alienate the experts are wasting valuable human resource, to be honest. At the same time, academics also and experts should enhance their contribution to societies. I think that they should work beyond the classrooms and into the application of theory-driven policies and programs and strategies, so that the society can benefit from the theoretical, scientifically proving practices that's proven to be reliable, proven to be valuable in different cultures or in different experiences before. Also joining efforts with the GCC academic institutions and specialists by think tanks, organizing scientific conferences, tailoring hands-on building workshops for strategic planning and program development that actually help scientists and the policy and the workers to all work through strategic plans that are timed, assessed with the goals, the risks and resources. We don't need to write down strategies that don't have actual planning for execution. We need something that we can see on the ground.
Something tangible.
Exactly.
Before we let you go, Doctor, is there anything else you wanted to add that we didn't cover?
Thank you for asking this, because I want to conclude by saying that the GCC has all what it takes for a better and greater prosperity. We have the heritage and history. We have the manpower, where youth represents more than 50% of the GCC populations. These youth should be put into action, then they should lead the future ahead. Now the slogan today is "The future is Gulf." It will be the future Gulf if we invest in our youth. We have the economic means and resources. We have the wisdom and the knowledge. We have the political stability, thank God. And we have the productive diplomacy and diplomatic relations with all around the world. So, and inshallah, we have the will for it. So I can't see why not we have a full prosperity in the near future, inshallah.
Inshallah. Dr. Malik, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you in studio with us. And I hope we get to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and your efforts. Dear viewers, as we conclude our coverage of the 45th Gulf Summit, we want to underscore the significance of this event and its pivotal platform, where the aspirations of Gulf Cooperation Council are translated into tangible strategies and impactful projects, as it strengthens unity and lays the foundation for a prosperous and sustainable future. The summit is not just a periodic gathering, but a vital opportunity to unify efforts, enhance regional integration, and take significant steps towards achieving shared ambitions, while reinforcing the region's global influence. We want to extend our sincere gratitude to all our esteemed guests who helped make this program happen by sharing their valuable insights with us. And of course, to my in-studio guest, Dr. Al-Malik, for her time and efforts in keeping our program insightful and educational. This summit And we also want to extend our big thank you to you, our esteemed viewers who are watching at home. We appreciate your time and devotion to watching with us as we give you the latest updates on the summit and as these events unfold. And please stay tuned as we continue our special coverage later throughout tonight and tomorrow. KTV2 will always keep you up to date on the latest from Bayan Palace. Until then, thank you very much for watching and have a pleasant evening.